When you hear the words forensic psychology, your mind might jump to TV shows where brilliant experts solve crimes with a single clue. But in real life, forensic psychology is far more complex, nuanced, and fascinating than Hollywood makes it seem. It's where the science of human behavior meets the justice system, shaping investigations, evaluations, courtroom decisions, and rehabilitation. Welcome to HowExpert Tip of the Day, where we bring you real-world tips from our How to guides on all topics from A to Z. If you want to learn even more in-depth strategies, examples, and techniques on this topic, check out HowExpert Guide to Forensic Psychology, available at Amazon, Audible, Barnes & Noble, Google, Kobo, Apple, Spotify, and all major bookstores as an ebook, paperback, hardback, and audiobook. Forensic psychology is the application of psychological principles in legal settings. That includes everything from understanding why people commit crimes, to evaluating competency, to helping courts make informed decisions. Whether you're interested in psychology, criminology, or the intersection of law and human behavior, forensic psychology offers insights into some of society's most challenging questions. Today, we'll break down what forensic psychology really is, why it matters, and 7 key ideas that define this dynamic field. 1. Forensic psychology is a bridge between psychology and the law. At its core, forensic psychology connects human behavior with legal processes. Forensic psychologists help courts, lawyers, investigators, and correctional professionals understand psychological factors that influence cases. They may assess a defendant's mental state, evaluate witness credibility, consult on jury selection, or provide expert testimony. The goal is not to decide guilt or innocence, but to offer psychological insight that supports fair legal outcomes. The takeaway: forensic psychology is less about drama and more about clarity, objectivity, and scientific understanding. Second, understanding criminal behavior is a key component. Forensic psychologists study why people commit crimes, but real explanations go far beyond simple labels like good or bad. They look at biological, psychological, social, and environmental factors that shape behavior. For example, they may examine childhood experiences, personality traits, trauma history, mental health conditions, stressors, or social influences. This helps create a fuller picture of what led to certain actions. Importantly, this understanding is descriptive, not excusing criminal behavior. Insight helps with prevention, treatment, and decision-making, not justification. Third, psychological assessment plays a critical role. One of the major responsibilities of forensic psychologists is conducting evaluations related to legal questions. These can include competency to stand trial, risk assessments, mental state evaluations, assessments for sentencing or rehabilitation, evaluations of trauma or victim impact. These assessments follow strict ethical and scientific guidelines. They often include interviews, psychological tests, behavioral observations, and review of records. Forensic psychologists must remain unbiased. The court is their client, not the defense or prosecution. Their job is to provide accurate evidence-based information to support justice. Fourth, forensic psychology supports victims as well as defendants. Often overlooked is the important role forensic psychology plays in supporting victims of crime. Psychologists may evaluate trauma, help prepare victims for testimony, or provide guidance on how trauma affects memory, emotions, and behavior. For example, a forensic psychologist might help courts understand why a traumatized victim remembers events in fragments, or why someone delayed reporting an assault. This context helps prevent misunderstanding and promotes compassionate, informed decision-making. The insight: forensic psychology isn't just about solving crimes. It's about understanding the human impact of them. Fifth, eyewitness memory and interview. Techniques matter. Human memory is powerful, but it's also imperfect. Forensic psychologists study how memory works, how it can be influenced, and how to reduce errors in eyewitness accounts. Stress, fear, distance, lighting, suggestion, and time all affect what someone remembers. This is why forensic psychologists help law enforcement develop evidence-based interview techniques that minimize bias and support accuracy. Understanding memory science protects the integrity of investigations and reduces wrongful convictions. Sixth, forensic psychology helps with rehabilitation and prevention. Beyond the courtroom, forensic psychologists work in correctional settings to support rehabilitation, treatment, and reintegration. They may create behavior programs, counsel individuals, or assess risk for reoffending. They also contribute to prevention efforts, identifying risk factors for crime and helping communities, schools, and institutions design interventions. The central idea? Forensic psychology isn't only reactive, it's proactive, helping prevent harm and support healthier outcomes. Seventh, ethics are the backbone of the profession. Because forensic psychologists work in high-stakes environments, ethics are essential. They must remain neutral, avoid dual relationships, respect confidentiality within legal limits, and base conclusions on evidence, not personal opinions. Their work may influence sentencing, custody decisions, or legal outcomes, so accuracy, fairness, and integrity are non-negotiable. In this field, the ethical question is always, what is in the best interest of justice, safety, and psychological truth? Let's bring these ideas to life with a simple, high-level story. A forensic psychologist named Dr. Rivera was asked to evaluate a young defendant charged with a serious offense. Instead of focusing on guilt, her task was to determine whether he understood the legal process well enough to stand trial. Through interviews and testing, she discovered he had a significant developmental disability that affected comprehension. Her evaluation didn't excuse his behavior, but it ensured the court handled the case with fairness and appropriate accommodations. Later, she worked with a rehabilitation team to develop a treatment plan tailored to his needs. Her role didn't determine the final legal outcome. It provided the objective psychological insight needed for justice to proceed ethically. That's the real work of forensic psychology: clarity, compassion, and evidence-based guidance. To recap, forensic psychology sits at the intersection of human behavior and the justice system. We learned that it bridges psychology and law. Criminal behavior requires nuanced understanding. Psychological assessments guide legal decisions. Victims benefit from trauma-informed expertise. Memory science improves investigations. Rehabilitation and prevention are vital. Ethics shape every aspect of the field. When you understand these principles, forensic psychology becomes more than a field of study. It becomes a powerful lens for understanding people, choices, responsibility, and justice. For even more tips, techniques, and practical examples on this topic, check out HowExpert Guide to Forensic Psychology, available at Amazon, Audible, Barnes & Noble, Google, Kobo, Apple, Spotify, and all major bookstores as an ebook, paperback, hardback, and audiobook. HowExpert publishes how-to guides on all topics from A to Z. Visit howexpert.com to learn more.